So what's my point here?
That you're going to be on.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you just do it the thing and I'll
Right.
deal with it.
You're just like, hey, I'll just do, you already said, I'll just do your thing, I'll deal with it.
Do your thing, I'll deal with it.
That's what's good about him.
Hey, did you tape that? That would be.
That's a good part about having friends.
Subscribe now.
That's good about having friends. So you went from Pennzoil 30, and from there you went to?
Been there 2 years, missed the top 10 in points by 1 point, and then went to Jack Roush and Roush Racing. So did that.
So how did that come about? Did he reach out to you? Did you have talks with him, or?
Somebody from NASCAR come to me. I won't go through that whole thing, but they come to me and suggested that I did this, and so I did. And I'm not saying I didn't enjoy some of it, but it did not go the way I think that all parties expected that to go. And so it was a turbulent 2 years. Started off good, and then I'm going to respect Jack Roush in that very, very much, but it didn't go the way it was supposed to. I didn't end up driving a car I was supposed to drive. And things of that nature. And so it started off with, this isn't what I signed up for. And so that was a challenge right from the beginning. So it was, like I say, it just didn't go the way it was supposed to go.
And who are your teammates then at Roush during those 2 years?
Well, that's when all that. So then, obviously, Mark Martin was there. Then Jeff Burton came in there at that time, and then myself, and then Ted Musgrave was driving the other car, and then. I don't know if that same year that Chad Little was there or the second part. I don't remember if that was all at the same time or not. I think it was. So there was 5 of us at that point in time.
What was it like to have teammates?
I had them in ASA, but only that 2 years.
2 years.
and then the Busch Series didn't have a teammate, and starting out I didn't have a teammate. So it's very interesting. It does give you somebody to rely on and talk to. Probably easier for like me and Chad to talk, or Ted Musgrave or something, than it is to go to Jeff Burton and Mark Martin. Although when you had a big problem, they would help you through that. But Mark's running for championships every time he's there, so you try not to bother that guy. But at times you need help, he would.
So from there you go to, after that?
That's when we went to Tyler Jett, which was a 10 car at the Daytona. There, so that was our first race for us, and almost won the 500, which was amazing. And so that was ended up being a 4-year run there, but at that point in time, Tim Beverly from Tyler Jett had sold it to MB2, and then so the MB2, that was part with Ernie Irvin was there, and then of course Ernie got hurt, and I think at that point in time Schrader was driving a car. And then I was the second car, or as teammates with him at that time.
What was it like to have Schrader as a teammate?
Oh, it was fine. It was good. I mean, I love Kenny, and we could have good conversations on things. It was probably easier at that juncture with a teammate than anywhere I've been. So that was fine. It worked out well.
That you can share the funniest, craziest Kenny Schrader moment that you recall?
Oh, there's too many. Yeah, we can't even tell one.
Really? Everyone has a funny story, like that he's done or said or got him in trouble.
Oh my gosh, it's all of them. I mean, there's he's such a great guy to start with, and he's just funny, and then probably one of them I would have to tell you off camera. Just because of the situation, not anything bad, but like we go to Martinsville and we'd be sitting there, and then he's going around apologizing to everybody. I got free beer at the truck, and I'm like, I looked at him, I go, well, what are you doing? What's that? We having a party afterwards? He goes, oh no, I apologize for everybody I'm about to hit the entire race here, and just tell him there's free beer down there. I'm just apologizing ahead of time.
He's getting ahead of time.
That's what you got with Kenny. It's just awesome.
That's good. So during that time, you go to Rockingham, and you pull off a victory.
we did. We were so close in a lot of different races leading, going up to there, and we run second at Bristol, we run second at Martinsville, we run second at Dover, and I'm like, man, this
second sucks.
It's getting to where it sucks, and we did not have a good practice. We didn't qualify good. Qualified in the mid-20s, anyways. And James Ince, my crew chief at the time, man, we threw everything at this thing: change of springs, sway bars, truck arms, just kind of going off what we felt. And we tested there, and we thought we were pretty good at the testing, and we weren't. So we just started making, not guesses, educated guesses, and then hopefully I was like, man, this is a lot of stuff. And he goes, did you like the way it was? I go, not really. So we did it, and then probably about 20 laps in a race, I think we got a shot. Based off our test. And
20 laps in.
20 laps in, I thought, this is going to be pretty good. Because I've raced some Busch cars there. And I've run cup races there. So, I knew what the track was going to do. So I knew right then, I thought, we got a shot. Maybe not to say, oh, we're going to win this, but I said, we got a shot to run pretty good here.
So as the race is going on, you're moving up forward. And
the longer the run was, the better the thing got. So in comparison to everybody else.
So when you took the lead?
I took the lead. I wish it was like 5 to go, not 30 or 40 or whatever it was. And I know guys are coming. You just know they're coming. That was the longest stint I think we run the entire race. I knew it would do in that 40, 50 laps. I didn't know what it was going to do in 100. Nobody runs 100 laps there. And so I think that last 100 lap, or that last part of that 100 lap run, I think it was, everybody knew what to expect as far as, it's not going to drive very well, but who was going to be where. And, I think at the end of the day, me and Mark were the best two cars on that long run for sure.
5 laps to go. Do you remember what you were feeling like? Okay, we're still out front.
Don't make a mistake.
Don't make a mistake.
It's, my dad taught me that. Don't make a mistake. And if you don't make a mistake, it's going to be what it's going to be. So we didn't make any mistakes, and we ended up front.
I'm just curious because I know you have a great memory. White flag comes out, you're out front. Like I have to turn 4 more times, and I get a checker a cup win. Do you remember what you were feeling or thinking, or just?
When I saw the white flag, I looked in the mirror, and Mark's still too close to me.
Okay.
I know that the part of the era that I like is guys just didn't wreck you out of the way to win a race. So I felt good at that part. I thought, okay, I know he's not going to wreck me. Not going to just knock me out of the way, because my dad always told me, he says, anybody can do that. So I knew that wasn't going to happen, but I had to make sure to not mess up to let him get beside me. And that was just it. Just hit your marks, hit your spots right. And you, at this point in time, Mark's driving the heck out of his. I'm driving mine. We're all over the track. Doesn't show up much, but you're just sliding and pedaling the car and things of that nature. And I didn't make a mistake.
And then you see the checkered flag.
See the checkered flag. That was awesome.
Well, the win was good, but I remember there's pictures of you just tearing up the infield, where you kind of like took the car down to like you're going to do like spin in the grass, and the front end caught a big chunk of Mother Earth.
That was not the plan.
Right.
Okay, the plan was, because we knew we were getting close, the plan,
You're right.
we had it all set with the guys. We were going to tip the car over and spin it like a top. Okay? You got people crawling the fence, and I go, let's do something cool. I said, let's flip it over, spin it like a top. And we all said, if you tell anybody, it won't happen, right? Well, somebody must have told somebody, because eventually they got out. So the last 2 laps, the NASCAR people were standing in our pit.
Oh.
So we didn't get to do it. So I says, you all coming out? And they go, no. And it's okay. So I tried to left side spin it into the grass.
Got it.
I was going to try to see, I know what was going to happen. I was trying to see if I could get it to hook and go on its roof. It didn't work. Got a cool picture of the grass fly.
Oh yeah, there's one right there. And if I wanted to find that car today, where would I find that car, Johnny?
That's in the backyard here.
It's in your backyard.
Well, underneath the grass.
That's fine. But the car's here. You have possession of the car.
Yeah.
What do you think when you look at that? What do you think? Does it ever like? I mean, it's a huge moment in your career.
No, it is. It's very cool. It's interesting because I have the Valvoline car we won Rockingham with. I have my ASA championship car. and I got my Outlaw Late Model Championship car. The only thing I don't have is a Busch car winning a championship, so or the truck. So I'm missing 2, but they're about ready to find a new home. I'm not going to do anything with them, and so anybody looking for some stuff,
a cup win, let me know.
But it'd be fun to go race them on a road course race or something. There's I see a lot of them when I've done some of the charity stuff.
The vintage racing.
The vintage racing deal.
And the actual cup winning car, that'd be pretty cool to have out there. Maybe something to think about.
Yeah, I know, right?
So your cup career comes to an end, and then you decide then a truck opportunity.
It did. I actually ran for James Finch in the Busch Series for a little bit. That was supposed to be a run to go run for a championship, but at that point in time, Finch he goes through a lot of drivers. So I knew that going in. I thought, well, if we get 5, 6, maybe half a year or whatever, I know it's not going to go the whole year. And so that's what it worked like. Got about 6 races in. And then Bill Davis gave me a shout and says, hey, running trucks at Michigan. Want to come run it? And I says, absolutely. So that's how that all started. And I ran for a partial year then, and then we ran 3 years for a title. So we're run second, then third, and then won. So that was pretty awesome.
So in the truck series then, it was veterans like yourself and then Hornaday and Todd Bodine that had been to the cup level, and now they run trucks. And it was also guys that were coming up, so it was kind of like a melding of a couple generations there. So did you guys had that veteran experience against these younger drivers?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I think that was a good advantage. But there was a lot of them. It wasn't just 1 or 2 of us. There was a bunch of us. And, so it made it a little tough on the young guys for sure. And, but some of those guys started running good, and they would come up and run with you. And at that point in time, you understood that they're wanting good equipment, and you get to see how they drive and things of this nature. And there's some of those kids that come up there that, man, they're going to put the heat on us here pretty shortly. But I think that it was still is a great series, but with that mix with all of us older guys, I guess we'll call it, with the young guy, I think that was a great mix. There's a little bit of everything in there, and I think that was that always set up for good TV, good races, good fun.
And the other thing is you guys already had a fan base, and these younger kids didn't, so it brought a lot of viewers and followers to the truck series that stuck with you guys and said, oh, now what are they doing there? I'll go watch that. So it was kind of building a foundation for what the truck series too.
It is. I think that of every sport, no matter what, the experienced guys with the new guys coming in, it gives that opportunity of change. And it's and the Cup had a couple of bad years where a couple of your top names all retired or left within a year or two. And it was a big shock, and all of a sudden there's people in there that you never heard of, and I think that's what I loved about ASA, because anybody that came out of ASA down there, a lot of the NASCAR fans knew them because they watched that. I don't know, today nothing plops out of my head and goes, okay, this is where you get to see these people first. I don't think you see that today as much as you did back then.
Championship year, it comes down to you and Hornaday, and that battle went on for how many races? Towards the end,
the last 4 or 5 races, and this is where you make mistakes, don't make mistakes, things of this nature. Ron obviously is a tough competitor, along with a bunch of guys. But I mean, at that moment, running for a championship, he crashed at Phoenix, and we were tight on the points at this point in time. Well, late in the race, I got into it with one of his teammates, and we crashed, and now we're going to Homestead with 3-point difference.
3.
And that was tough. I still remember Alan and Mikey asking me about the battleship, or the battle going on with Ron, and I don't know if you guys been paying attention, pretty tight coming into this race. 3 points, and so it was a matter of who's going to be who at the end of the race, and we're fortunate enough to have that happen.
So that leading up into that week, what's your mindset like? I mean, are you just like whatever's going to happen? Are you? Is it? Do you notice that you're thinking about it more and more than you, let's say, like an average race or something like that?
I look at championships different than race wins. I mean, as the year goes, you win a race, points take care of itself. Now, as you get down, I've won 4 championships, and I've been in 2 or 3 other battles for them that we had maybe get away, and so you learn on those particular things what to do. So I thought I was very good at running for a championship, not so much. I wasn't about leading all the laps, this and that. I was worried that my dad always tells me, there's one lap that pays money, pays points. That's perfect, so there was times that we weren't dominant that we end up at the race and they're like, where'd he come from? Well, I think the championship kind of come out that way too. We had that good battle with Todd, and with a couple races ago, we had a couple failures, part failures that kind of took us out of that. And then, of course, on this one, you try to make sure those things don't happen. But and they didn't. We ended up, we had to do strategy at the end. We were not better than them at Miami one bit whatsoever. And so we did some pit stuff that got us in that position, and it paid off.
So now you win your second NASCAR championship. A good feeling again. It's no different than when you won the Busch championship.
They're all cool,
okay.
And they're all. I don't think I placed mine in any type of order, better or worse, because that was such a tight battle. That makes it special. But I've been in those, and they're just all good. When guys say that this was better than that one, no, they're not. They're all good. Don't matter where it's at. They're all good.
So your career, the NASCAR career, kind of just comes to an end, and then all of a sudden you're still racing though. You got into super modifieds. You were building cars. I mean, so your car building has never really stopped. You kept doing that.
I kept doing that when I first moved down here into the Busch Series. I had a lot of customers up in Michigan area says, I need a car, I want to build a car. Because at that point in time, my dad wasn't building the cars anymore. I was doing it. And then he was building all the parts. He was building quick change rear-ends, or we had our own quick change rear-ends, own spindos. And he was making those for other people and take care of that. He didn't have time to build cars. So, and I kept getting calls, so I finally got a surface plate and started building them. And down here, I probably only built, I think, like 25 cars during that time. But this is while I was racing full time too. So, and it's me and one of the guys that worked or run my motorhome and all that. It was just me and him. There was no anybody else. It was just me and him. And so I do 3-4 a year, something like that. And now I don't do that anymore. But it was a lot of work with all the travel and racing Cup and trucks and all that. It was tough, but it's what we do.
All right, 505 total races in NASCAR, 18 wins, 2 total championships. Is there any of them that you sit there and go, the ones that got away, couple that got away, that you still wish you could have turned back the clock and done a little differently?
Well, there's a lot of them.
I give you 1 or 2 at the top of your.
I mean, the ones we talked about, obviously, the Brickyard and Daytona and things of that nature. But there's always these races that you're a contender right at the end, and either something happens on track or something happens to you or whatever. I mean, that list is probably long, but the Daytona one obviously sticks out there with the Brickyard. Those are the 2. I think just some of the others were dominating on the Truck Series at Vegas and blow right front and wreck. And it just unbelievable how good the truck was. And then those are one of those ones you go, I wish that didn't happen because we were really good. And Martinsville running second, trying to go for my first win. Again, I'm not a believer in just wrecking somebody. I've seen it too often lately, and I just do not believe in that. And I can't think of any old driver that believes in that. And it's okay to bump bang, but my dad always said that you better get beside the guy first. You better earn the right to be beside the guy before any bumping and banging goes on.
Good advice.
And that I believe that. I don't believe in a bump and run. I know everybody gets excited about it. I just don't believe in it. If he's always said that. If you're going to fast the car, it's easy to knock them all the way. So we've ran into those. We're leading, and I've got bumped out of the way, run second. Not real happy about that, and so but he was close enough to do it. So obviously I wasn't quick enough. But it's just you have all these little races that happen. One of the cool ones was the side-by-side finish at MIS with Eric Darnell, and I still say it was a tie. I mean, they took forever. Like, the start and finish line's this wide. Yeah. I was leading at the start of it. He led at the end of it, and it's this wide. So in the middle, we were tied. And I still laugh that they say that it's not the closest one and I'm like, how can that not be? You can't tell. At least on the other ones, you can see it's like this.
Length of the stripe.
And but anyways, it's that was such a great race. We were fourth with 3 laps to go, and was close to that. I've won 2 races at Nashville, the Speedway, not Fairgrounds. With the 2 races that I won there, a total led 6 laps. And so that's my whole point. It was like, doesn't matter. Yeah. You only need to win or lead 1. And so I think that part's cool. But I think we've all lost those doing the same thing too, of being up front and just not getting good starts. And
then you coached. You were a driver coach for a lot of people. Danica Patrick, one that come to mind. Who else are some of the guys drivers, I should say, that you have coached? And how did that make you feel when people that came to you and said, hey, could you help so-and-so and share your knowledge? Yeah,
it's a tough situation because you're really excited about doing it, but then you got to worry about how good of a job you do. Mm-hmm. But like Trevor Bain, of course, Danica. There's been some other guys too that you would help, and it wasn't something. I always felt that was a short-term thing for me. I figured that if they don't get what I'm going to talk about in the next 3 races, they're not going to get it. So you help them through that part on the real important parts. I mean, at the race thing, they actually had spotters that would do. I could chirp in every once in a while. My conversations before the race, not during the race, and trying to give them the ideas what you need to do, what you need to feel in a car for practice versus a race. And I always felt that was the important part, because even when I built cars, a guy would call up and said, hey, my car's loose. What do I change? And I go, you need more information. I could give you 10 things to change in different parts of the car, so you need more information. A lot of those scenarios was trying to get the driver to communicate with the crew chief to try to understand so they get to the same place. Most of those that I helped out was more that, not on the track. Just parts of it on the track, parts of it trying to communicate with the crew chief.
And that's because, you have your wins and your championships. As if I was a driver and you're coming to coach me, I'd definitely listen. But you said you would know in 3 races that either they're going to get it or not.
Yeah.
So at what point?
Working with them. I mean, as standing from afar and you watch them, you see potential. I still believe it's all about the car. My dad's always told me a driver's only 15% of the equation. That's it. Depends how good the car is. Depends how good when you're doing your local stuff, it's all your preparation. It had nothing to do with being at the racetrack. It's everything you did before you got there. And I see that in this sport. Better prepared you are, knowledge, this and that, you unload, especially today with no practice. You're not going to take a car that's, like we did at Rockingham, starting 26 and go up and win the race. Today, it's not going to happen. You can't. Those changes are too hard to do on the weekend. So what you unload with is kind of what you got. And I think that's important. And it's always been important. So you look at that, and when you start to help them, trying to figure out how they communicate and how they do what they do on the track for practice and how they apply that into the race, I know within 3 races that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. And just the approach and how they get there and how they like the car before versus after the race. And those are good conversations, because some drivers want it perfect for practice and perfect for the race. And I go, yeah, good luck with that. And I was like, you got to have this thing so loose during practice that it might just be a little tight in a race. And the younger don't get that. And they don't want to go out and wreck a car. I get that. I went through that too. As you come down and you're trying to free it up and you go, God, I don't want to wreck this car before the race. Not good. When you race for yourself, all you got is the time to fixing it. We race for somebody else and you kind of feel bad about it.
Because you're a good car builder and you knew cars, do you think that helped you be a better driver because you understood and you could tell while you were in the car what it needed?
Oh, absolutely. You know, just all the things I learned from my dad and designing chassis and knowing what to feel for, what parts that we change on a car is good for the car or bad for the car is a huge part of why I won races and won championships. And you don't see that as much today because the kids are too young coming in. They don't get that vast experience to do that. And I think that's where the communication from the driver and crew chief has to be very good. Because I could say, it's this part of the car, it's the left, it's a right rear, it's a left rear, it's a sway bar, it's whatever. Today they just say, it's loose, it's tight. They're not 100%. The drivers will learn to get there, but that's the toughest part.
So do you still watch races here and there on the weekends?
I do. I probably watch it more on tape so I can speed through in areas. But
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, I do. I don't watch them all. I mean, there's certain ones that I like. I love the short track stuff. Yeah. Road courses, I go either way. I do. I'll watch them because some of it's pretty interesting. And when they go to a new track, you know, like at the old tracks that we used to run, I know what's going to happen. So I have like, okay, I can pretty much expect. I know what's going to happen there. So the new stuff is kind of cool. But I love short tracks. I mean, if they, you know, the more short tracks you put on it, the more I'd watch. But I'm a short track guy.
Sure. That's where you grew up. Today's racing, what are your thoughts on it? Some of the drivers, do you have a favorite that you watch or someone that you look at and go, that's a good driver, that's someone that's worth watching?
I'm a huge Kyle Larson fan. Mm-hmm. You know, from being I wouldn't say I'm a dirt guy because I only ran it for a couple of years, but I've always been very interested in it. And to watch him know how to read the racetrack. That's one of the things I told a lot of people. I said, you got to read the racetrack. Just like, I said, don't put a dark shield on so you can't see, because everybody's, how come you don't wear a dark shield? I goes, I can't see the track change color. People don't understand the asphalt track changes tremendously. And there's drivers that do that and read that, and they're very good at that. You know, Tony Stewart is very good at that. You know, Jeff Gordon, Rusty Wallace, Mark Barn, they're very good about reading a racetrack. And I felt I was the same way. You read the track. And I don't think some of the guys see that today. And they move around just to move around. Because if you watch how they move, you can tell what they're doing. And there's certain guys like Kyle Larson, you can watch him read the track and move around. And that's his dirt experience doing that. But and I think he's probably one of the best right now at doing that.
Well, some veteran drivers are saying these kids got to look beyond their hood pins. You know, they only see the front. They got to look down the track and read the track and see where they're going to make their move and what's happening in front of them.
Well, that's true, and I never knew that was a problem until I moved down here because I was taught to do that in the beginning. I just thought that was natural. I thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Like look beyond the hood.
Look beyond the hood.
Yeah.
I never look at the hood.
Right.
I never look at the car in front of me.
Really?
I'm always 4 cars up.
Really?
Yep. 4 cars.
Interesting.
I watch 4 cars up. And my dad says, don't catch the guy and watch him because now it's going to take you 10 laps to pass him.
Oh.
And he says, watch the guy in front of him. So when you get to that guy, just go by him. So he says, just make sure that you're looking 4 cars up. That's the guy you want to get, not just the guy in front of you. So I've always watched. Now, obviously, I'll glance at that. Like, I'm really good about watching and reading the wheels and watch what the left front's doing. So I know where he's weak and tough before I get there. And as I'm approaching him, I'm watching the guy in front of him. So if I know ahead of time what's going on, that may help me get by the guy in front of me that I already know what he's doing. So I always go 4 cars.
Interesting. Good advice. 2001, this will be 10 years, coming up on 20 years. Sorry, bad math.
I know.
Coming up on 20 years, July, Daytona race. Everyone remembers Dale Jr. coming up and winning it. But in the final restart, you were leading the race at Daytona for that one.
For the July race.
July
yes.
race, yes.
Yes, me and the lap car decided that he needed to get his lap back,
Yep.
and that cost us a good bit of time. But but that was a great race. I mean, I think we had a shot for it, and it didn't happen. But all those races are just awesome.
So
running out of lights down at Daytona is something that, unless you run there under lights, you'll never experience anything like that. It's nothing like you've ever been.
So that race, I mean, it was phenomenal because it was, we lost Dale in February, and then you go back, and then, I think you finished 13th, but in the restart, it shows you're up front, and all of a sudden you're kind of like you said, the lap car, and then you're getting shuffled through, and you're helpless there, and Dale Jr. goes lead, and that crowd afterwards was just nuts.
Oh, it was, just the time that happened is, I couldn't, when you ask about the emotion, I can't even imagine his emotions trying to get through that race to start with, especially leading it right there at the end. And mine were like, crap, we just, a little bit of mistiming on the lap car on the restart caused that. But, but you don't know how this is all going to end up, right? So we had that happen there in Daytona 500, same thing. Other than that was more of a single file restart versus a double wide restart. I think that was where the whole thing got confusing there. But yeah, I mean, the crowd was just, I mean, anytime Dale Jr. or Dale Earnhardt get the lead, the crowd goes nuts, which I love. I mean, that's part of the sport. That's a great part. Whether it's somebody they like or hate or not, you get to voice your opinion and have your opinion, and your fans can be very passionate about their opinions at the racetrack, which is what makes the sport great.
So it was a case of, well, if you're going to lose or not win that race, if he's going to win it, then okay, that's.
No, it's not ever that way. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose.
Congratulations,
No matter
Dale.
who it's for. I love Dale Jr. I mean, I love watching the stuff he's got going now, what he's got going on, and it was great that he won that race. It's great at every race he won, and all the people that do win that race, it's well deserving. So as long as they get knocked out of the way to get there, or you know what I mean. But yeah, I mean, as far as being at the track when Dale passed, and the next time coming back to the track, I mean, everybody did not want to be there. I mean, it was hard enough going to Rockingham the week after.
Yeah, I remember.
And the next week, and the next week. That went on for years, let alone going back to the same track. So at the end of the day, Dale winning was really good. I mean, I wouldn't say good for the sport. I think it was good for the fans.
It was good for everybody.
And I think it was good for the people in the garage area. Yeah. I mean, I don't think as a sport, oh man, that was great for the sport. No, it wasn't. It was just great for the people who pulled for Dale Sr. And it was, great obviously for junior fans. It was great for my fans. I mean, it ended up that way. But there's every best reason in the world for it to end up that way, either way. So you're right, it still sucked to lose the race. But that's just a racer in you going, man, but yeah, no, that day was a special day versus the last time we were there.
How did you find out that we lost Dale? Because I know that Mike Helt made the famous announcement that just brought everybody like, what did he just say? And other people found out, like I was with NASCAR.com at the time, we found out through someone's wife who worked at the hospital. Did they come around and tell you ahead of time, or did you all just find out at the same time? Or?
Well, at that point in time, we had crashed early on. And matter of fact, I saw the wreck, but I was leaving the track. I was like, Daytona's hard to get out of. We don't stick around. Right. So I saw the accident. Because you go out the tunnel on a backstretch, which you've got the view. I saw the wreck and I thought, okay, it didn't look, don't say anybody. I was like, well, they wrecked. It's horrible that everybody tore the cars up. That was my thought. Of course, we go through the tunnel, and time we get over. Now, a good friend of mine that does PR used to work for Dale Earnhardt and all them too. So there's a tight. As a whole, everybody was pretty tight back then, and So the time that we were actually taking off, we got a message and said that looks like Dale might not make it, type, as we're taking off. Well, we had other people on the plane, so we're like, we're going to turn around, not. Nobody didn't know what to do, and he says, even if we did land, we can't do anything. So we kind of carried on home, but we pretty much knew after we landed that it had happened because of some of the connections that we were with, or a good friend of mine he knew.
Right.
He knew.
So you were actually going through the tunnel and looked up and saw. You were headed for the
I
tunnel.
saw that.
Wow.
I saw the accident, but we had wrecked like 20 laps later, or earlier than in the race, and it was like we were packed up and, you're like, let's go.
Biggest influence in your career? Your dad. I know throughout this interview, like your dad comes up, which is great.
Yep.
Aside from him, who would you say someone that really helped you along? Someone that really was someone that you look up to and said, thanks for your advice, your guidance.
Well, in the racing aspect of it, it's always been my dad. I mean, even when I raced down here, he didn't know that much about the cars, but my dad understands race cars. But I think going down, there's you had your times that I didn't have. What do you call it? Teammates. Mm-hmm. So, but there's people that you would talk to, like, doing the show, Mike Walsh, Kenny Schrader, and Alan Bestwick, when we did that show, you got to talk to those guys. And there could be very different opinions on it, but it gives you something to work with. Instead of just saying, do this. This guy would say, well, we did this, and I did this, and they could be two different, but it gives you something to think about. But I think at times when you started working, and I was doing that, Ernie Irvin helped me a lot. He was, when I was running, he gave me an opportunity, and I run with Base. He had ran the Base motorsports cars, and I would talk to him, and he would say, do this, or feel for this. And I've talked to Jared a couple times, and he told me certain things to watch and look at. And then, of course, when I followed him, I watched his cars. And then, and I learned that in the short track stuff, but it's very different when you're on a speedway or on a intermediate tracks, or, we ran half miles in smaller tracks. So watching this stuff happen on bigger tracks was interesting and a challenge. So some people, this is what we do, and this is what we try to look for going into the race. I don't know if there's that one person. There's a group of people, but they're all good people, and if they didn't want to tell you, they wouldn't say anything. I didn't really have anybody just lie to you, say do this. But either you could tell when they start doing this, it's like, okay, they don't really want to tell you, so then okay, fine. But your Mark Martins, Rusty Wallace, all those people I grew up watching run ASA, those people I could go to and ask.
And then as your career progressed, people started asking you for advice.
They do, and I was always good about helping people out. I remember an ASA race at Berlin when I wasn't running full time. I helped a guy out, and my dad did not like that. And we won the race, and that guy finished second. And he goes, you don't try to help your people beat you. You know that, right? But the old Dick Trickles, the way he put it is that I'd rather have somebody help, and somebody asked him, why'd you do that? And he says, so he doesn't wreck me during a race.
Very good.
I always thought that was really good. But Trickle was helping maybe guys a little further back than maybe some of the guys I helped. Some of the guys I may have helped are too close to me to start with. But sometimes people need advice. And when I've asked for it, I felt that I was getting a straightforward answer. So when I gave it was the same way. I used to do the Ricky meetings for the Cup Series and the Busch Series and the Cup Series, and so you get a lot of questions.
Sure.
And so to help them, people get through that is probably no different. I think when I was going through those meetings, it was Bill Elliott. So I guess Bill Elliott would probably be one of the guys that help you out too, because he did those rookie meetings that you go to. Some of the people listened, some weren't, and I would definitely listen because they might say something that I had no clue about. And I hope that I gave that same information to the rookies as you're as you're doing those meetings.
From a historical standpoint, knowing that you're a 18-time winner in the NASCAR and the champions, and you're part of the history of it, does that mean something to you now as you look back a little bit, or is it just kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool, or how do you look at it?
Well, it's always part of the history, and it depends on your perspective. If you talk to a fan, they only talk about the guys who have won hundreds of times and this and that, whatever. But I think as drivers in a whole, everybody's been a part of it, and it's been awesome. I mean, it's always really good. You know, you get people, oh, you're going to go into the Hall of Fame? And I go, I doubt it. But I said, it doesn't matter. I said, so my expectations to go there is not. They got other people to worry about. You guys that win all these cup races and all that will get in before, I think, a two-time champion in other series. That's what I believe. I think that's just how it works. And I'm okay with that. That's just, some guys, everybody needs to be a part of something, and they are. And if it's a situation where you end up in the Hall of Fame, that's just a bonus, and it's strictly a bonus.
I mean, even now, you'll go get yourself a ticket and go sit in the stands and watch a truck race at Bristol. Yeah. I mean, if it was me, I'd be looking over and at what point, I mean, you get recognized, obviously, and that's kind of, fans are like, hey, Johnny Benson was sitting in the stands with us. So it's kind of.
It's really more surprising younger people that will see that, and then you go, how would you know that?
Right.
That's doing a history on the racing, so I think that part's awesome. Some of the older people, they'll recognize and stuff like that. But I was really shocked when we went to Bristol for the All-Star race it was, and some of the younger people that I wouldn't think that. I go, well, how old are you? And I was racing that, and he goes, oh no, I've watched a lot of tapes, or my dad had a lot of tapes. We'd watch them, and she goes, that's how I know you. I didn't at the time when you won them. I didn't know you, but. So that part's pretty cool, I think. Right. It's that's cool that a racing family would show kids these tapes or watch these races and let them see some of the history that's happened is probably the best thing you could ever do for your kid.
So sitting behind you have these awesome array of trophies and everything. Do you ever just kind of sit here sometimes in your shop and look up and remember a certain race or a certain moment and go, oh, there's a championship, there's the Rockingham one, which we joke is one of the smaller ones you have, and your championships, and just kind of look back and go, that was pretty cool.
It was, and so yeah, I do that, especially now that I moved into this shop from my other shop, because they were just scattered upstairs, thrown in some office areas because I didn't know what to do with them. I had a lot more room at the other place.
Okay.
So when I moved here in half the size and trying to get all my machinery in here and all that, then I got all these trophies. I go, what am I going to do with these? So I kind of guessed. I went, I'll just put a shelf from there to there. That surely will take care of that. And as I get putting them up there, I was like,
I need more shelf.
I'm like, man, sometimes you forget, you realize how many of these you have. And I still got a bunch more upstairs. My sister's got a bunch, right. And things of that nature. And they're cool, but I'm like, what are we going to do with these? I talk to people, and I ask people, I go, what do you do with these later? And some people get rid of them. I had one guy says, I peel all the tags off them, and I put them on a big sheet of plywood, and I give all the trophies to a trophy company to try to figure out what to do with them for kids and all that.
Wow.
Because I can't see my kids wanting these, so we'll have to figure that out. But it is pretty cool to walk through them and go, oh, I remember this, or I remember this.
And when people come over, they're like, hey, tell me about it. So you got some impressive hardware up there.
Yeah, I think most people like them. I just put them there because I didn't know where to put them.
Perfect. Well, Rich Bickle gave all his away through the years, so I said, why'd you do that? He says, because what am I going to do with them? I don't want to sit around looking at them, dust them. So we give them to a kid.
I thought Carl Edwards was the best one. He never kept one. He got rid of them.
Yep.
And I go, you know what? That was pretty smart on his part.
As you're lugging another box of trophies around. All right, so you're living in Mooresville. You got this beautiful place here. Tell me about the goats. You have goats. How many goats are there? 4?
Yeah, 4 goats.
4 goats.
Somebody thought they'd be a really good idea because it's we got kudzu and all that stuff growing around there.
Right.
And so we put a couple goats there.
Right.
And they eat it all out. It's awesome. Except for now I got to fence some other areas and move them over there.
So they have more to eat.
So all that stuff over there, and I wish you could just turn them loose like a dog and they come back, but I don't think that works. But so yeah, so we got to move them here and there a little bit while, but they are funny. They're fun.
Your personal life, recently engaged, wedding coming up?
Recently engaged, so I can't tell you the date.
I can tell you the date. Okay, go ahead.
Or I can tell you the place. I can't tell both.
I can tell you both.
I know you can. But no, so in August, we're good. Nicole and I get married, so that's pretty exciting.
That's good.
You know, you go through the second half of different parts of your life, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Good. Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for your time today, and thanks for reminiscing, telling your stories. It's always good to talk to you, John.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. I get to see you more often than most, but glad to come on over the shop, invite you in. It was a great interview. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. We need a favor from all of you. We appreciate you watching. We need you to do one little thing. Hit that subscribe button, become part of our team, and Johnny Benson's a subscriber, so he says,
just hit the button. It doesn't take that long. Subscribe, hit the bells, follow.
That's it. Listen to what Johnny says. Subscribe, Garage Shop Insider. Thank you.